We're trying to reduce the source of sugar intake. Having said that, I'm selling more syrup now than I ever sold in my life. And syrup revenue from Jamaica is 75% sugar. So, people know what they should have, but sometimes it's sweet and you still want it. But having said that, what's important in the UK is labeling. The ingredients. So the ingredients panel is different in the UK and Europe than it is in the United States. So a common criticism that I have with Jamaican manufacturers, why I'm selling my lose America, so we can go. That label cannot work in the UK. It's too off the shelf. Right? So whoever you're dealing with, make sure they got the labeling correct. Make sure they have the ingredients correct. Certain colors that are okay in America are banned in the UK. In terms of trends, we need some new product development. As I said, we handle walking products, and then recently brought out a green season, which has been phenomenally well. So offer of the green season, recently teamed up with the Marley Estates as well, so that helps. And things like that, new product development is always welcome.
For the US market. So, I agree with both what they're saying. People are becoming more conscious, but at the same time, we're selling more sugar-based items. But in both of those regions, I see the trend going in convenience-ready food or pre-prepared foods. People, my generation, people don't have the time to do grated coconut. You're using canned coconut milk. I have an oxtail season, a liquid, like he said, ingredient season. I have a liquid oxtail season that I brought to the market in Florida a few years ago, and now it's by far one of the best selling seasonings in any store. Because you just take the seasoning and pour it on some oxtail, spin it around 2 times, turn on the pot, and anybody can cook it. Which also allows the crossover to influence the oxtail to other people. We have to realize that Jamaican buying power in Florida is only 300,000 people. Jamaican buying power in New York is 400,000 people. Spanish buying power in Florida is millions and millions and millions of people. So to grow your business, you have to do things where you have to look at your customer base, you have to look at who's going to buy the product, you have to focus on how other people can buy the product and grow your market share. Because if it just depended on Jamaicans, we're very limited. Even though, yes, we buy Jamaican, we support Jamaican, but even though, like Junior said, it seems that we're so many. But I tell people there's only 7 million Jamaican people in the world. They say I'm crazy. It's impossible. They said, but look what you're doing in sports. Look what you're doing in music. Look what you're doing in food. And all of them say, no way is there 7 million Jamaican people in the world. And I tell them, yes, look it up. And they do, and then they're frightened. So when you look at your products and your new innovative products, see how other people can use it. Make things, like he said, you're mixing the liquid seasoning, right? Liquid seasoning. They just pour it on the meat, rub it together, boom, put it in the pot, and they're done. Those are the keys to the future. My generation, my parents' generation are going to grate a coconut. I'm not going to grate a coconut. I'm opening a bag of coconut powder before opening a can of coconut milk. And then even for me, it's going to get my children, it's going to get worse. So you have to have convenience-ready food. Foods that are 2 steps, not 4 steps of consumption.
Can I just add to that? My business, we have developed, we have 2 companies within one business. We have a food service business and a grocery business. And over the years, the food service business is taking off. Because, black women nowadays are not cooking, right? No more soaking peas on a Sunday, for Sunday, no more stripping saltfish or like that, no more great banana. So what we found is our food service business is doing fantastically well. Grocery business is doing well with innovative goods. We do dry seasonings now, we put a lot of snacks in now for the grocery business. The food service business, we bring 4 gallons, 23-meter drums, them kind of things. So we have to cater for those both markets. But, having said all of that, the trajectory for Caribbean food is going up, only one way. If we don't service the market, somebody else will. As I said, we have jerk seasoning from Poland, pepper sauce from France, all from Jamaica. style. I have been offered callaloo from India, Jamaican callaloo from India. Alright? It's not gonna cost them, they know I'm a Jamaican. Alright, but other people will take it and they'll sell it. So these are things we have to be careful of. If we don't capitalize what we have, other people will.
Thank you. In fact, I two things I want to explain more from your side. One is the crossover. The importance of having products that can cross over. So sitting in the market, you are right. When I do visit distributors, they say to me all the time, Shane, can you get us new products? Something we can sell to the Hispanic, something that people would want from our new. In its current form, the Jamaican products, in their current form, are they making that transition? I would say need to do more to get them into other markets.
Alright, number one, in the UK, the supermarkets dominate. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. You get it onto the supermarket shelves, then you're going to charge them to cross over. Again, as my colleague said, it's about making it easy to use. So the jerk seasoning rubs are very easy to use. The snacks, pick it up and eat it one time. For argument's sake, we supply Tesco. Tesco sell bigger, which is a Jamaican soft drink. Tesco bring out the drink called, I think it's called Splash or something like that, which sells for half the price of bigger, because it's made in the UK. So these are the challenges that we have. So when a product tries customer, sometimes they will clap it. So you have to be prepared to market and spend money promoting your brand. Promoting your brand. Don't just stick it in a container and send it to distributors and think that's it. Sometimes you have to spend more money marketing than what the product costs to make. So these are the things that you need to take into consideration. If you're serious about having your brand overseas, whether it's the UK, US, wherever, you have to spend money on marketing. And praise God, there's social media. So it's not as expensive as it used to be. You can go everything on social media, and a lot of people follow social media, and you can use that to promote your brand. So to answer your question, there is a crossover in the current form. It requires marketing. But Jamaica is fourth. Jamaica is fourth.
Sir Clark?
Well, I do agree with what he's saying, but at the same time, as you guys as manufacturers, a manufacturing company, the most important thing to them, to you guys, is to have your factory operating. So yes, you have to build your brand, but be open to private labeling. Because private labeling will be able to get your business going, turn some money, get you some capital by turning your product, and get you going, and then you can build your brand on the side. He's very right. Branding is one of the most important things in this business. But at the same time, when you're starting out, if you're only focusing on your brand, it's very difficult to get your brand to where it needs to be. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars of marketing, hours and hours worth of work. So be open to private labeling, because then you open the door to other things, and it generates capital for your business, and then you can grow, and you learn the market, and you get customers, you see what other customers are doing. I had a story where a guy didn't want a private label from me. So I just went to the next person in the private label. That person, instead of him having one product on the shelf, he has 4 products on the shelf because he private labels for 4 different people. So he controls my pricing, controls the market. So yeah, you want to focus on your brand, but don't be scared and just get your company going and create capital by private labeling your product.
I would also like to add to that because it also helps to build these small businesses and economies of scale in manufacturing to medium business when you build a product that is more internationally accessible than just Jamaican accessible at times. Because what happens is that you now have a wider consumer base that you are targeting rather than just just different groups across, as you say, 7 million people across the world. You really want to make a product that anybody can interact with, anybody can use, so that you are in mass market commodity type of items. It builds your economy of scale as can lead you from small business to medium business, and that takes you to large businesses where you can export.
You mentioned earlier about label, issues with label. So you mentioned there are some criteria coming in. Mr. Clark, do you have those same issues in the US with labeling?
We do, but all labeling responsibility, or most of it, falls on the manufacturer. Everything falls on the manufacturer. It's a manufacturer's responsibility to approve their labels, get it approved by the FDA or whoever is looking at it. Me as an importer, if you send me an item with the wrong label it's held by FDA, I'm not gonna, you have to give me my money back and you have to pay me because that's 100% your responsibility. Yes, we take some blame if we can give some knowledge, but at the end of the day, you guys are the manufacturers, you know what goes into your product, you know what you're doing, so it falls on the manufacturers.
Yes, and at the same time, we will advise you what to put on the label. When you send us the label, we say yes, no. Definitely. And then we would check with our import agents, say, listen, here's a proof of the label, can this for us? They'll say yes or no. So much together can figure out the label situation. But if you go against my advice, and I said, for your business, but if you listen to my advice, having 35 years experience, I'll tell you what can come and what can't come.
In Canada, I would say it's very stringent. In Canada, the Bureau of Standards, has set and established rules and regulations for labeling and packaging standards, which most companies do comply by, but I agree that it needs to be a shared communication so that the product does not reach there and then gets rejected. So prior approvals through the Bureau of Standards and Housing, that I think is a good opportunity to then decide if you decide or not to commercialize in your market. So we have ISO 9000 requirements to be packaging. When you go into the pharmaceutical sector, it actually gets even more bureaucratic because then you go into bioequivalent studies, you go into stability testing, you go into sampling that is in zone 4A, so it depends on the sector, and you have to be able to comply and follow all of the documents and regulations to be able to export across the board. And I know each market is different, but I would say in the pharmaceutical sector itself, this is quite expensive.
Alright, just a change here a little. We touched on a few things, but this is probably a pain point for both manufacturers and buyers. And that is the challenges faced in accessing products from Jamaica. The problems we face in accessing products from Jamaica. Can you just summarize again so our suppliers can?
Jamaica, they're pretty soon come business. But if I'm honest, which I try to be, it's not easy dealing with Jamaica. But as a Jamaican, you know what to expect. So right now, but having said that, to be fair to the suppliers, last year we had Barrel. It was messing everybody. After Barrel we had the rains. So what was knocked off the tree was soaked in the ground. So hands up, we can't supply. That's what it is. But generally speaking, it's about, go back to what I said before, the consistency of supply. If when we supply the supermarkets in the UK, when they give us that order, if we can't fulfill it, they charge us. They charge us for loss of profit, they charge us for all kinds of damn things. We have to make sure we have the product. To the point where there's a system called just in time, which we cannot do with Jamaica. So we have to hold container load of product in the warehouse, just to make sure we can fulfill the order. It's very important. We cannot let them down. If they have agreed to a certain product, we must have it. So in terms of Jamaica, yes, JPS is a problem. Yes, cans are a problem. Yes, labels are a problem. The words are a damn problem. But you have to fix them. You have to fix them. That's it.
Yeah, so, my first word I said on my vote is consistency, and then I'll go back to consistency. That is the biggest problem I have with Jamaican suppliers. The expectations in the US I think are a little bit different than the business expectations in Jamaica. Like you said, everything will soon come, or everybody in Jamaica is a salesperson. So if you ask somebody a question, they don't want to tell you a black and white answer. They want to give you a gray answer. So you don't really have an answer when the items are coming or what the situation is. But it's better just to be open and honest, because I have somebody to answer to. My sales reps have somebody to answer to. The stores want to know, hey, is that shelf space? You need to put something there. You can't leave it empty. So, consistency in supply is a major issue in Jamaica. And I personally don't know, because I don't live here. I'm not a farmer, but it seems to me that raw material for all these items, whether it be Scotch bonnet, whether it be acne, whether it be scalea, green onion, all these items are in very short supply in the last 5 years. And with what's going on with the weather, it seems to be getting worse and worse. So I don't know if the government needs to invest in some, in agriculture more or whatever, but if the raw material is not there to make the products, we're always gonna have this.
I would say access is not the problem because we the extensive reach you all have here right now. But it is getting a mindset of making a product that is marketable for exports. I think it's a step out of just manufacturing because manufacturing, and if you only in your market, you don't really step out of understanding consistency of supply, raw materials, ordering to make sure that you have your full supply chain covered in that export mode. So sometimes we bang it on manufacturing, it does to make the manufacturer. But until you get in that export frame of mind, you want to build an international brand, everything that comes into play. Is it marketing, is it sales, what is the structure, who's building the brand across the market, and maintaining that invention supply chain.